Yeah,
to
I
you. I mean,
guess.
I'm recording. It's just a backup.
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, just record it. I don't need to get it.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, it should be streaming on Facebook as well. Go live. Yes, we shall.
Mm.
Okay. I am recording. We are live. Everything is happening. Hey, everybody.
Yay.
Welcome to the EFT call with GP. Now, GP, I think a lot of the people here were already tapping with you for the last couple days, but there are some new people here.
Couple weeks actually.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm thinking 10 days, but
Yeah.
it was spread
Yeah.
out. Spread
Yeah.
out over multiple weeks. So for those of you who were not part of that, the same link that I'm going to show you in a second, they're all on gpwalsh.com. 10 calls. I guess one of the main differences today is we'll be talking a little bit about what GP's doing in his coach training, but because we're doing this on Zoom and giving people the opportunity to work one-on-one, for those of you who haven't seen it, you'll get a chance to sort of see what that's like and why at least I recommend taking part of it. And by the way, I'm not like partnering in it. I will be doing some calls in it, but just for full transparency, this isn't like a sales call that I'm involved in the program, But I think
Right.
you should, if this is something you're interested in. I wanted to give everyone a chance to sort of see
So
what it's like to work, um, to see GP and myself and different process of actually working with somebody on their issue. It might inspire you to either want to do it, but a lot of people that do these calls and do these courses have no interest in actually facilitating other people, and that's just fine. You don't have to want to do this. It's sort of a really good way to just go deeper with it. So like it says here, you can be as specific or as general as you like if you do bring up anything that you'd like to work on today. I'm going to suggest that when GP or myself is doing any tapping with somebody or even just speaking about something, to really engage with the process and not be chatting and posting your own. If you're posting questions while we're tapping with other people, it means you're not doing it. So it tends to happen sometimes on EFT calls, but even if it's, and I'll put that as an aside. The more tapping I've been doing, I've been getting really into it over the last 2 years, even more. I will tap along listening to a class or something. It could be about, my husband divorced me. It doesn't matter. It's going to bring up in whatever form that is relevant for you.
the energy is really smart. It it'll find something as long as you're participating with an open heart and actually participating fully. It'll find something.
Absolutely.
It'll work.
Yep. These are some links for the stuff where you can see the group or the replays. So I'll leave those up. Well, those were up there for a second.
This is Evan's group, by the way, and just so those of you who know me and not him, Evan
True.
has been with me since the beginning. Matter of fact, it was he that basically twisted my arm to finally name it Inner Reconciliation, because I just couldn't decide what I wanted to call it. So he's been around before uh, uh, I had named any of these things. I think he's been around since Just Allow It, which is the first course I ever did,
Mm-hmm.
and which I just actually completed a third edition of it, so I remastered it.
Oh, right. Yeah, you all can check
Yeah,
that out. It's got some
yeah.
binaural beats and other
So
additions
needless to
to it.
say, yeah, needless to say, with Evan, he's taught classes with me. We've done them together. Um, obviously I totally endorse him and recommend him, and I've even sent people to him to work with. So um, that's where it came from. He was a kid when I when we first met. So it's been a nice long relationship. We were even roommates for about a year and a half.
Yep. Yep. That was awesome. So,
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, the previous slide was just me saying I'm not a doctor. I think everyone knows that. Uh, but GP's upcoming EFT training I mentioned, this is the link. I'll put this up later as well. But gpwalsh.com/tap21. It's starting next week.
Yeah.
So I recommend signing up soon because the sign up is is it still to schedule a call with you?
Yes. Yeah. So at bare minimum, you get a free call with me. You get a free
Yeah.
session with me. Yeah.
So do that
And it
soon if you're interested.
please, yeah, please, because the week does fill up, and I want to make sure I get to everybody.
Excellent.
But even even if it takes a little bit longer, when you first uh, when you first actually register to take the course after you've been through the initial interview with me, there's already like 40 or 50 videos waiting for you. There's already a ton of material. The first live call with the entire group won't be till the following Thursday. So it'll be a week from this Thursday that the actual call. So there's lots of material to start with right now that you could start going through. I don't expect anybody to get through all of it by the end of the course.
Right.
um, it's okay. It wasn't really meant for that. It was meant to be an ongoing thing, and the time with me where I'm going over it is meant to be experiential. So I think that covers all the bases for this.
Okay, fantastic. So, for those of you who are here that haven't worked with the two of us together or worked just with GP one on one, inner reconciliation and EFT, EFT is basically an aspect of inner reconciliation. I personally consider inner reconciliation like an approach, a mindset, an internal posture, a way of working with things that you can adapt any technique you use for into that sort of paradigm of welcoming what's going on with you, recognizing that the part of you that's resistant, which those of you who do more EFT know, a lot of EFT is like, okay, a lot of EFT teachers sort of talk in the language of clearing the resistance, which isn't an inherently wrong per se, but the inner reconciliation twist that I've always loved, and GP can expand on it a little bit, is that you are not really you're not looking at the resistant part as an adversarial, here's the problem, let's try to get rid of it. You're using the EFT as a way of helping explore this resistance and understanding. It doesn't have to be an intellectual understanding. Sometimes it shows you what's going on, sometimes it doesn't. To work with it in such a way that you're actually experiencing why it's resistant. And when you're welcome and open to it, it will show you what it's doing, or it will just feel welcomed. It will feel like it's not being attacked. And from that place, it can actually move, it can actually resolve. So, in essence, the result, it's actually, in my opinion, a more efficient avenue to what you could call clearing the resistance. But instead of like we've just took an eraser to it or just yanked it out of the system somehow, we've started understanding what's happening with it and listening to it and using the EFT to actually engage with it in a way that the energy can resolve in the way it best needs to. So that's how I feel about it. And that's what I've always sort of done in these tapping calls and the calls I do, but I've never really articulated it. So if it's something you're, interested in doing, that's why I think it's good that GP has these videos and this coaching program to actually sort of dive into more of the aspects of it, because it's not something that's really discussed. It's something I more just sort of do and just engage in. So we have a couple
I'm not
people.
actually ignoring all this by looking at my phone and
Oh, it's
checking
fine.
stuff.
I'm
I'm
assuming you're
going to
looking
the
at the.
Facebook. I'm going to the Facebook group to make sure I can see the comments there
Oh,
because
good.
we're only seeing the chat from Zoom. So I want to make sure if people are over there in Facebook asking questions, we'll get to them too.
Great. Yeah. So we have a good number of people that actually do want to tap live. Do you have anything you want to add or address about your particular thoughts on how EFT works in the process?
Well, it's a point I make over and over and over again that it, it is just a slight shift in perception because we have it backwards. We think my energy is resisting, but it's not. It's you. You're resisting the energy. It's always the other way around. The energy is just doing its thing, right? Your body is just doing what it was designed to do, and it will do that without any resistance whatsoever if you let it. So the resistance always comes from us not wanting to feel what we're feeling. So if you can understand that, and that understanding is what we'd call in a reconciliation. It's a shift in the perception, right? From that point of view, tapping becomes a means of communicating that absence of resistance to the system, which immediately responds to it. As I say, what this does is it communicates safety through touch. And when the system feels safe, it drops its defenses, and before you know it, it's on your side. But you got to be on its side. That's the deal. It takes two to make a conflict, right? And it can't drop out of the defensive posture when it's not safe, which means you have to. You have to. You have to drop your argument with it. And I mean, that's just not in reconciliation. That's Zen. That's Advaita. I mean, that's the deepest spiritual teaching is all about being present with what is, without any argument with it. So tapping becomes a very physical way, an emotional way of engaging with it, which has been shown by study after study now in the release of trauma, that there has to be some kind of physical engagement with the body. You can't talk therapy your way out of a trauma. You'll understand everything about it. It'll be complete. It'll become, you could write a book on it, but you'll still be miserable because it doesn't really move anything. Something in the body has to move because there really is this relationship between the energy of a trauma and the physicality of the body. Where it's actually an energy that is being stored there that needs to be released. So it's really powerful. Sometimes it can respond so quickly and so miraculously, right? That it feels like the Red Sea has just parted. But other times it's extremely subtle. So I always ask people to drop their expectations as well, and instead become increasingly sensitive and nuanced in your own feelings, because that's where you're going to notice the differences most and first. And it's those little things that begin to compound into just majorly shifts in your life. So, end of sermon.
Fantastic. And on that note, you might notice that I kind of tap the whole time. At least I started somewhere in there. And I like to do that during these calls because one of the things I like about this approach, and it's actually been echoed by some other people that study directly with Gary Craig as well. This guy, Steve Wells, who I took a couple of classes with, that tapping does not have to be correlated to scripts. You don't have to be saying specific words or saying specific phrases. That the mere act of doing it has its own benefits. So while you're just sitting here listening, while you're just listening to other people, while you're listening to anything, I mean, I do this on the subway, anytime there's tension, or just to kind of do it, that there's benefits in doing it. So if you take one thing away, in addition to the fact that you're using EFT to kind of help you get in a sense of equanimity with yourself and not using it as like a hammer to try to smash everything that's uncomfortable, that you can also, if you can dissociate it a little bit from EFT is only about tapping while saying specific words, and the words matter all that much, that it's more of this physical process that can be useful even if you have no idea what to say or aren't saying anything.
That's a great point. And those were in my 10 days of tapping. Know that in the beginning, I would just start talking about something, elucidating some subjects. I just start tapping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that disassociation between the two really, really liberates it. So it becomes, it's not about what you say. As a matter of fact, the, the truth about what you say is simply to keep the mind from getting distracted. It just keeps attention focused here in the body. And if you could do that, you wouldn't need to say a word. But our
Right.
intent, our our indoctrination, our training, our programming is to run away from these things, right? And so the words keep the mind focused, almost like a mantra. And the bottom line is, it doesn't really matter what you say. And the beautiful thing about it is you all of a sudden find yourself saying something you had no idea you were going to. I mean, you don't know where these things are coming from, because now there's this beautiful harmony and interdependence that is going on between you and the energy system. So you become more its mouthpiece than its facilitator.
Mm.
It's doing the work itself. We're along for the ride.
And I think you'll find this sort of impacts different areas of your life, just the attitude, because like with this call, for example, I kind of know that I don't have to really tell GP anything. And that, hey, okay, I'm going to bring up people to work with you or me, and it's not predetermined. And I know he's just going to kind of roll with it, because that's kind of how this stuff really works. I find that when you get a little looser with realizing, oh, it's not following these specific words or these specific phrases, because life never really conforms. It doesn't announce that you're going to fall and break a bone, or that the economy is going to shut down. So you need to be able to kind of roll with things. So if a tool needed a specific script in order for you to use it, I wouldn't really even recommend it. But luckily, it doesn't. So um,
And this is great. I don't know if you saw in the chat over there, Sarah Sands, Dr. Sarah
yes,
Sands, got the final jury report of my doctorate, and the results were upgraded to summa cum laude, or
wow.
excellence. This is l'excellence. This is rare in France. I want to thank Evan G and the spiritual family who supported me starting in 2017. Yep, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been quite a ride, Sarah. But congratulations. Yeah, I mean, what an accomplishment. And then you slept for a month, a well-earned rest.
It's always good to see this translate for people too. That it
Hmm.
doesn't make you just think happier thoughts. It can actually get you writing. Although the two do tend to correlate at times, but not always.
Yeah, they
So,
do.
Ursula, I'm going to bring you up. And once you are, you should be able to unmute yourself if you like. If you need any help with anything, just let us know.
Yes, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice
Hello,
to
Ursula.
hello there. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this issue that I had already, and I think hasn't been answered yet. I was um, I have this. It's not a feeling. It's on the level of the I am, that I don't want to be in this body. That there is a mistake that I am in this body. This is something that has come up in a satsang by somebody already some times ago, and I think
Yeah.
Eva also mentioned it. So this, I don't want to be in this body. That's something that I don't know if it can be tapped away, because it is on the level of the I am, and the I am in the contact with the I am, but this is a thing that runs through the life for a long time. That well, okay, I reincarnated, and maybe that was a mistake. So I think it's
Well, if it was, you're stuck with it. So here we are.
that's it. Yeah, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So here's my approach. Here's the way I approach it. Right. We'll do some tapping right now. Because you can tap on this stuff. Wherever there's where emotional turmoil or conflict, you can tap.
Yes.
So let's just tap. Hit on the karate chop point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, even though I don't want to be in this body,
Even though I don't want to be in this body,
I really don't want to be in this body.
I really don't want to be in this body.
Getting it in the first place was a big mistake.
Getting it in the first place was a big mistake.
Good God, what was I thinking?
What was I thinking? I probably
I
wasn't.
totally, I totally accept what I'm feeling.
I totally accept what I'm sensing,
A feeling.
feeling,
Yeah. So even though I don't want to be here,
even though I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be in this body,
I don't want to be in this body.
I don't want contact with anything on the earth,
I don't want to be in contact with anything on the earth,
anybody I know, or anything I've done.
anybody I know, or anything I've done.
I totally accept what I'm feeling.
I totally accept what I'm feeling.
And I'm open to loving myself anyway.
And I'm open to loving myself anyway.
I mean, I might as well.
I mean, I might as well,
So even though I don't want to be here,
even though I don't want to be here.
I hate being in this body.
I hate being in this body.
Totally sucks.
It does suck.
Totally sucks.
It totally sucks.
I totally accept what I'm feeling,
I totally accept what I'm feeling,
even though I don't want to.
even though I don't want to.
Let's tap through the points. I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be in this body.
I don't want to be in this body.
Jesus Christ, what was I thinking?
Jesus, what was it? Thinking?
I don't want this body.
I don't want this body.
God, if there was a way I could get rid of it.
God, if there's a way I could get rid of it.
I mean, but I don't want to off myself.
I don't want to off myself.
That'd be too messy.
That would be too messy.
I'd leave a big mess behind.
I'd leave a big mess behind.
Well, what do I care? I'm not going to be here.
What do I care? I'm not going to be here.
So I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
I totally own the fact that I don't want this body.
I totally own the fact that I don't want this body.
It's clumsy.
It's clumsy.
It gets sick.
It gets sick.
Makes nasty smells and noises.
Makes nasty smells and noises.
It's just a big burden.
It's just a big burden.
I totally accept that I don't want it.
I totally accept that I don't want it.
And I wish there was a way out.
And I wish there was a way out.
All right, just stop for a second. Take a deep breath. Nobody's telling you you have to be in the body. And I'm not going to go into the I am stuff and you're not really in the body. I'm not going to do any of that because the energy is not going to get any, isn't going to agree with any of that non-dual stuff.
Okay.
So what does it feel like now? Just say it to myself. I don't want to be in this body. What does that feel like?
I don't want to be in this body. It's a truth. It's harmonious. It's not so aggressive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So more harmonious, yes.
Well, it's not aggressive at all. You are.
Yeah.
The body doesn't have any issues. The body's just fine.
Yeah.
It's just fine. You're the one that decided you don't want to be here. But that's okay. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So just tap on your collarbone for a second.
Yeah.
Just feel this. It's okay. I don't want to be here. All right. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
People tell me I'm supposed to want to be here.
People tell me I'm supposed to want to be here.
What do they know?
What do they know?
Fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
I don't want to be here. That's how I feel.
I don't want to be here. That's how I feel.
I totally accept what I'm feeling.
I totally accept what I'm feeling.
All right, take a deep breath. See, the conflict is always we're arguing with what we actually feel.
Yeah.
This is how you feel. Other people are going to judge it. This is a terrible thing. I'm not sensing you're ready to go jump off of a building. Right?
No.
Not because I'm miserable. I hate it. It sucks. I mean, it's more of an existential or spiritual thing you're
Yes.
experiencing. So
Yeah.
totally accept it. Totally accept it. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. The body's clumsy, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you imagine in disembodied being where your entire universe, you go wherever you want. I mean, it's just like this doesn't compare very well, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know, it has to sleep and eat and do all sorts of. God, what a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a waste of time. So just accept it.
Yeah.
Accept this is how you feel. And what happens?
It feels better. It feels
Right.
it's yeah. It feels more harmonious. I can't say anything else.
Yeah. The real issue was you weren't giving yourself permission. You had this overhead, cultural and conditioning
Mhm.
that said you shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
But you do. I mean, it's simply owning up to the truth. I do feel this way.
Yeah.
And then you give yourself permission to feel whatever you feel like. And what happens? The conflict stops. The defenses go down. And we feel that on the level of the emotions as a sense of more harmony, more calm. It's lighter. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But your body was never fighting. Your body's not attached to life.
No.
It doesn't care. It's a momentary aggregation of a bunch of little energy particles that's going to dissolve anyway, and it's dissolving constantly. It's constantly transforming itself. It's not even the same body you had yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So, is there any resistance left? When
I
you
would say
think that's
there's still a yearning, and that's an old one. There's still this. Okay, there is something more than there will be a. Of course, there's a way out, because when we die, we get rid of the body and we get into the light body. So still I'm okay with having it, and I will wait things out. But there will be a time when I will leave the body, and that will be a relief. In any
right.
case, whether I accept it now or not, there will be a relief there.
Unless, of course, you make the stupid mistake of getting another one.
Yeah,
Oh my
that I will
God.
try to avoid if I could.
Now what am I going to do?
Yeah,
Right. So you have a choice. Again, as I'm talking now, just tap through the points. You
yeah,
have a choice. Right?
I have a choice.
You can either just wait until this body ends,
I can either wait until this body ends,
or I can just accept things as they are and be happy,
can just accept things as they are now,
including the fact that I'd rather be somewhere else,
including the fact that I'd rather be somewhere else,
but I'm not.
but I'm not.
So I'm going to let go of all of my emotional attachment
I'm going to let go of all my emotional attachment
of wanting to be somewhere else.
of wanting to be somewhere else.
It's my emotional attachment that's creating the misery.
It's my emotional attachment that's creating the misery.
It's okay, I want it,
It's okay, I want it.
but I release all my attachment to it.
But I release all my attachment to it,
Because what I want more
because what I want more
is to simply be happy now.
is simply to be happy now.
That's what I really want.
That's what I really want.
I'm imagining the now later,
I'm imagining the now later,
but how about right now?
but how about right now?
Would that be okay?
Would that be okay?
If you were happy right now, would that be okay?
If I'm happy right now, that would be okay.
That would be okay.
That would be
I'd accept
okay.
that. Yeah.
Accept that.
Yeah. Probably won't happen.
Probably won't happen,
But if it does,
but if it does,
I'm good with that. I'll let it happen.
I'm good with that. I'll let it happen.
Okay, take a deep breath.
This is a good point, because allowing to be happy sometimes during the day,
Yeah.
I'm aware that there is happiness. The funny thing is that if I allow myself to be happy, is that somewhere on the other side in a
That is the other side, love.
okay, all right, okay.
That is what you're after. The mind has just got this idea that it's there then somewhere, right?
No, it's the mind is saying that that's not good, because you're giving up some search, or you're giving up some other desires. Yeah, there are opportunities during
Yes.
the day to be happy, and
Yes.
we should take it and just be happy, and not allow the
Right.
mind to.
We've all been completely grounded in this notion that happiness is somewhere else, someone else.
Yeah.
It's always the result of some process, and it's never now, right?
Yeah.
But true happiness is unconditional.
Yeah.
You're just happy because that's what you are. And if you can let go of all the mind's ideas, none of which are true, right, as to where happiness comes from, you'll just find it there. And desires will still be there, right? There's stuff you want to do. There'll be highs, there'll be lows, they'll still be there. But there'll be this background of contentment.
Yeah.
Which is really what you're after. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you want to get rid of the body, to get that. So what if you didn't need to get rid of the body to get that?
Yeah.
Then the body can just do its thing, and and yeah, it's a bit, it's a bit of a strain. So at some point it will fall off, but I'm not going to wait till then.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I'm 16, I'm 68. Maybe I've got another 20, 30 years even, right? Jesus, do I want to wait that long? Nope. Now.
Okay.
Just give yourself permission now. And you'll notice as you start doing that, and you can read and tap it, I really give myself permission to be happy now.
Be happy now, yes. Mm-hmm.
I let go of all my emotional attachment to being unhappy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. And I just let myself be happy.
Yeah.
And as you're doing that, you'll notice bubbling up from under the surface is all the ways the mind has told you that happiness is later.
Yeah, I can see that sometimes. I do that. I see that. Yeah.
And you bought it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you very much.
Just to give credit where credit is due, this thing I release all my emotional attachments. I stole that from Steve Wells. I just want everybody to know that. But
I asked him, he's fine with it.
Oh, it's Picasso. It was Picasso who says, "Talent borrows, genius steals."
Yeah, I started using that one too. I really like it a lot.
It's excellent. It's just excellent. He's excellent. I love that guy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those workshops. Great. Well, I hope everyone got something out of that. I certainly did.
And I sure hope you were all tapping along with that. This isn't a football game where you sit and watch.
Yeah, I don't think we can emphasize that too many times. Even if you think you don't necessarily relate to the question, look, everybody at some point is not thrilled about some condition in their body, for sure. And you can extend that, whether you're talking about I have a pain in my hand to I don't want to be in this body. It's all in there. And
you broke your knee not that long ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it hurts to do most things for me. But to speak to that, if you are in pain, if you are injured, I noticed that I had experiences that were no less deep. I experienced highs in euphoria that were as high, and that background sense did not change. I even felt it like moments. I woke up, like the anesthesia didn't quite take for me. I actually woke up while I was being like put into surgery. And so even some moments like that, you recognize that it was nice to get some real verification, because you hear these things like, hey, the sense of who you really are and this deeper happiness is not, it's not correlated to how your body feels. It's not correlated to how your life feels. It's definitely true. I'm certainly no master of it, but I can tell you that the depth of the practice, the depth of the experience, the awareness, everything involved is not inaccessible because you're in pain, and it doesn't change when you're healthy or unhealthy. So it's good to use this tapping and these materials to not look at everything purely from the standpoint of, well, hopefully I can tap away every issue and then I will get to experience some of this peace that GP is talking about, right? That you can, these things are still accessible even in adverse conditions, even when you lose your career. I mean, that's a lot of stuff I got hit with in 1 year, and it's like you wake up, sun's still out. It's the nothing in the really fundamental essence changes. And so these are good opportunities to really investigate that and try that on for size. if you are experiencing those things right now. Tapping is good for relief, but it's also good to use to kind of access something even beyond that, which we're kind of touching on there. Okay, so Roberto said he would like to tap. It's very on point. I'd like to tap on making my body feel freed from all the muscular tension that I have from top to toe. So let us allow you. That's what Zoom says on the screen. I would never refer to it as "I will allow you to speak," but I'm reading Zoom when I say that. I find it very hilarious the way they phrase that.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can
Hello,
hear
can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, nice meeting you, Ivan. Hello, GP, how are you doing?
Very good, sir.
Okay, well, I can say that I'm feeling much better. And I mean, after doing all the tapping and everything, so thank you very much for that. Well, I would like to tap on what Evan just said. You know, I mean, as you know, I've been in pain, you know, like from top to toe, and for the last few months, all my muscles, my head, my occipital, my neck, my back, my feet, everything, you know, from the I've been visiting a physical therapist, and all that I have is tension. You know, I've been told by 2-3 different people, you know, that it's all muscular tension, and I would like to be able, because I have so much pain today, you know, in all my muscles, and well, I mean, I would like to do something regarding that, if it's possible.
Groovy. You take this one, Evan. He's experienced a lot of me.
Okay. Okay. Good.
See how much I trust him?
So just sort of connecting to that original framework we're talking about here, where when we say, for example, to welcome the muscle tension, welcome the pain in your body, we're never denying the fact that it hurts and I want to get rid of it, right? So don't let anything pull you into a mental trick of, okay, I'm trying to accept it, but I don't think I can accept it because I don't like it, right? Just take a deep breath for a moment, and I want you to notice first that you can put your attention on your breath. So even while you're feeling the pain in your muscles, just become aware of the feeling of the breath, the actual sensation of the air moving through your nose or your mouth. And all we want to do with that, you can be tapping while you do this if it feels okay on your muscles. If it hurts to tap, you can use like the side of your fingers, tapping on the side of your fingers or something else. That you've been breathing this whole time, obviously. I hope you have. But when we say put your attention on your breath, a lot more detail of that breath becomes into your conscious awareness. Right? So while I've been breathing the entire call, if I choose to put my attention on my breath, the breath will get a little deeper. I might notice that I can sort of consciously do things with it, whereas before it was happening unconsciously. So I might be taking a little bit of a deeper breath, actually intending to do that. And I want you, while you're breathing in a little bit of a deeper way, if it feels okay, and you're tapping, just think of the tapping and the breathing as giving some love, like the way you would pet a dog. It's just kind of an expression of you're just petting that dog because it feels good to pet it and you like being around it. Like you're doing that to your own body. And if a friend of yours was hurting in physical pain, you would notice you'd be able to sort of adopt this posture where maybe you're not grabbing their muscles and trying to manipulate things, but you're just being there for them. Right? You're providing sort of a space for them, and people can benefit from that. So just experiment with the attitude for a moment that the tapping and the breathing is just a way of giving some emotional and physical support to your own body, which does need it. And as best you can, see if you can relax any thoughts about your body being a problem to be solved. And that's more in the attitude. Obviously, there's tension and there may be a solution to that tension. But there's a very different attitude to, hey, what's going on with you in there? Versus, I got this tension, I'm trying to tap it out. So just try to tap into a sense of curiosity about, okay. I want, as best I can, it's totally fine that I want to get rid of this, and we'll do a formal tap in a second. But I'm curious. I'm using this stuff and this tapping to investigate, okay, what does my body need? If there is a sense of, or a source of tension, perhaps it can help reveal it to us. But more than anything, we're just trying to support it as we're in pain. And then going to the karate chop point, even though I have all this tension, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have all this tension in my body. And I've been doing a lot of work to help it. I'm not sure exactly what the source is. And the physical therapist says it's tension. Say, okay, yeah, we know. But even though I have all this mysterious tension in my body, I choose to love and honor myself anyway. And so even though there's so much tension in this body, it hurts from head to toe.
It hurts from head to toe.
And I don't know exactly why.
I don't know exactly why.
We can say it's tension.
We can say it's tension.
But what's actually causing that tension?
But what's actually causing that tension?
And maybe the tension is actually serving a purpose.
And maybe this tension is actually serving a purpose.
I'm open to exploring this.
I'm open to exploring this.
And finding the healthiest solution for my body.
And finding the healthiest solution for my body.
And I choose to love, honor, and accept myself anyway.
And I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
Okay, now tapping through the points here. All this tension in the body.
All this tension in the body.
It feels tense everywhere.
It feels tense everywhere.
And I notice the more I think about the tension,
the more I think about the tension,
the more I try to get rid of that tension.
The more I try to get rid of that tension,
it can create more stress.
It can create more stress.
I can create tension about the tension.
It can create tension above the tension.
And I can understand that.
And I can understand that.
Of course, it's scary.
Of course, it's scary.
And of course, we want to solve the tension.
And of course, we want to solve the tension.
We want to get rid of tension.
We want to get rid of tension.
But I want to try something.
But I want to try something.
In the name of helping the tension.
In the name of helping the tension.
Which is to put my attention on it for a moment. And just breathe into that tension.
Breathe into that tension.
And I want to observe it.
And I want to observe it.
I'm not trying to disconnect from it.
I'm not trying to disconnect from it.
I'm allowing myself to feel it.
I'm allowing myself to feel it.
And all those parts of me.
And all those parts of me.
Have been saying, hey man, you've been feeling this the whole time.
I've been saying, hey man, you've been feeling this the whole time.
That's the whole problem.
That's the whole problem.
And say, okay, I know we felt it.
I know we felt it.
But we're feeling it in a different way.
But we're feeling it in a different way.
I'm choosing to feel it.
I'm choosing to feel it.
From a place of curiosity.
From a place of curiosity.
and allowing those parts of me that are fighting the tension.
And allowing those parts of me that are feeling the tension.
Say, I understand you're fighting this.
I understand you're fighting this.
I'm glad you want to fight things that feel bad.
I'm glad you want to fight things that are feeling bad.
But there are some enemies
But there are some enemies
that don't respond to force.
that don't respond to force.
And I think tension might not be beat by tension.
And I think tension might not be beat by tension.
So I'm relaxing this stance.
So I'm relaxing this stand
towards the tension itself.
Towards the tension itself.
I'm actually welcoming that tension.
Actually welcoming that tension.
Allowing it to feel as strong as it feels.
Allowing it to feel as strong as it feels.
And choosing to focus.
Or choosing to focus.
On the part of me that can be curious.
On the part of me that can be curious.
I'm curious, what is this tension?
What is this tension?
I know I've been fighting it for a long time.
I've been fighting it for a long time.
But is there a source of it?
Is there a source of it?
There may be many sources.
Maybe many sources.
But for now, can we at least relax the fight against the tension?
Relax the fight against the tension.
Allowing my breath to get into those muscles.
Allowing my breath to get into those muscles.
Allowing whatever small amount of relaxation.
Allowing whatever small amount of relaxation.
That actually is possible right now.
That actually is possible right now.
To take place.
To take its place.
Okay, now pause for a moment and just take a deep breath. And just focusing for a moment on your relationship to the tension. It may still be there. But seeing if you're able to access a little bit of that position where you're a little more curious about it, where there's a little bit more arguing internally, where it's like, I got to get rid of this tension. Right? How is that feeling for you? Are you noticing anything different there?
Well, I have some. I mean, the place that I can feel the most pain is right now, like in the forehead.
Okay, good.
You know, right up above the nose, and this is so much tension around the eyes and the neck and everything.
Okay, good.
I mean,
So
to be honest, I don't feel any difference so far.
Right. Okay. So putting your attention now on where you feel it the most pronounced. Wherever it is in the forehead and around the eyes. And keep tapping while you do that. And I'm going into the points again. All this tension in my forehead.
I got to release of all this tension in my forehead.
All this tension around my eyes.
All this tension around my eyes.
I'm exploring this now.
I'm exploring this now.
I'm going to breathe into that feeling.
I'm going to breathe into that feeling.
And without thinking about what this means.
And without thinking about what this means.
I want to listen to that feeling.
I want to listen to that feeling.
Anything it wants to show me.
Anything it wants to show me.
Any way it wants to move.
Any way it wants to move.
Including not move at all.
Including not move at all.
I just want to put my attention on it.
I just want to put my attention on it.
And now, as you do that, just pause there for a moment. And as best you can, keep directing the attention to, like you're trying to listen, for example. You're just observing it, seeing if there's any more subtleties you're noticing about it, if it's bringing up any kind of thoughts or images. And as best you can, just bringing your attention more on the experience of that feeling and less on the whether or not it's gone or how much this is working or anything like that. And let us know if you are getting any sense of anything, any subtleties in the feeling, any thoughts, any images.
Well, now I can feel it a little bit lighter, so to speak. You know, not so much, not so dense, so to speak. It's still bothering me, but
Yes.
now it's kind of moving towards the throat.
Awesome. So it's responding to your attention, which is great.
It's somewhere, you know, it goes from the head, from the forehead to the throat and back.
Great. So there's a little more movement there. So a similar attitude now of kind of breathing into that feeling. Notice as it moves between your head and your throat. Also, notice if it feels like it wants to move further, but feels like it's being blocked or resisted in some way.
It feels like it wants to get out.
Okay.
You know, it's like it's pushing to get out.
Okay, good. So now see if you can feel or sense anything pushing against it or wanting it not to leave.
No, not really.
Okay, so give it permission to leave. And then just let us know what happens.
Well, I feel it a little bit better. You know, like it made me cough.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of going towards the ears. Sorry, inside the ears.
So kind of rinse and repeat a little bit here as you go.
It's kind of how you say. I mean, I have some sound inside my head, you know, like crunching or something like that.
So just listening to that sound and feeling that feeling in your ear. And notice that you're starting with just the attention itself. It seems to respond positively to your attention, and at least it reacts, it begins moving. It's moved to your ears now. And in a similar way, you're just putting that attention on those sounds and those ears and saying, what do you need? What do you want from me? Anything? Does it want to move like the last one wanted to move? You're just listening to it.
I feel it like so to speak, like a bottle of champagne that wants to be uncorked.
See if you can find the cork. What's keeping that in place? And when I say that, don't assume that the cork is like a bad thing. The cork may actually feel like it's protecting you from something, but you're just observing, okay, I got this pressure that wants to leave, and clearly something is corking it in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a knot. Somewhere. I mean,
yeah.
I don't even know where.
It's fascinating, right? But you can sense that there's a knot there. So you kind of trusting in the part of you that can sense the knot. Say, okay, if it needs to show you where it is, fine. If it doesn't, just tuning into there's an awareness that there's some kind of knot here. And it's a similar kind of thing, even though I have this knot, right?
Even though I have this knot.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I just love and accept myself anyway.
Just welcoming the sense of that knot and seeing where it takes you.
It's like my temperature is rising.
Hmm. Now, do you feel like you have a sense of how you can kind of continue to like explore and examine this?
Mm. Yeah, it's like kind of like I need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, but like one at a time, right? It's just
Uh-huh.
whatever shows up next,
Uh-huh.
you give that, you make that the most important person in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a, if your left shoulder hurts, you put your attention on that and you really listen to that and you let that take you where it goes because you never know which one might be the bottom, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
if there is a bottom, right? But you just treat each one for what it is and let it take you where it wants to take you. And you've seen already in a pretty short period of time, you felt it move from one place to another. And then when you feel a resistance, what I like to do, what I did a couple times there is, okay, so let's examine what is that resistance. Can we find that? Can we put the attention on that? Because you're aware, for example, in your case, you said it wants to move, but it feels as though something's not letting it. So that's sort of a clue. Okay, we can examine, well, what if it wants to move, what's not letting that? And it's always, for me, it's always an open-ended question, because sometimes these things come up and it goes, oh, well, if I let that amount of energy out, you would just die, or who knows. So you never know what it's going to say, in which case you're going to go, oh, okay, well, okay, in that case, thanks for keeping that in there, but
Mm-hmm.
let's, is it safe to kind of work with this a little bit? So yeah, does that help you out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It did.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just something to bear in mind that, and everybody pay attention to this, when we start tapping and our attention is going on the feelings in the body, right? But what I look for in terms of the real shift isn't so much whether the energy itself changes, but whether you become more open to being with it. And that will always happen before the energy starts to move. And that's why it started to move. Remember, the first time you said, Roberto, it nothing changed, because you were looking for the change there rather than in you. Right? It's your relationship with it that is key. And as that happens, it all of a sudden you're not holding it in place anymore, so it starts to move. Right? And that's when the stuff starts coming up. And the other point that Evan made that I really want to emphasize is, you only deal with what's here now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your nose, the nose gets the focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's your ears, the ears get the focus. And even drop the idea of trying to get to the bottom of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then what that is, you've projected this idea of everything going away and being the way you want it. So just let all of that go. And instead, we're not kidding. This becomes fun. It's enormously fascinating, right? To just watch how this stuff works and begin to realize the incredible power that's there, and the power of just our own capacity to be with ourselves. Oh my God. Well, it's love. That's what love is. That's what self-love actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So you're great, Roberto. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome.
Glad it was helpful. Yeah, thank you very much. Cool. How are you with time, GP? There are a couple hands. I don't want to keep you longer than you're.
I'm good. Yeah,
Okay.
I can go a little
Yeah,
longer.
we got two hands, and they are old friends, so to speak. So people get a lot out of it. And I'll re-emphasize while I bring up Penny. I'll bring you up next. That element of you're looking for a shift in how you are relating to something in the moment. And for those of you who are signing up, I'll put the link in there again for GP's facilitator training. That's a really important one when you're working with other people too, because for yourself and for other people. I think there was a question in there about tapping for other people. There's nothing will throw you out of things faster than, oh, I tapped and it still hurts, or we work
Nothing changed.
together.
Nothing
still,
changed.
right? Still have the headache. It's much more fair, and in some ways much easier and kinder, to be looking for these little, okay, am I fighting that a little less? Am I able to be with it a little differently? And tension, sometimes physical tension can be a good barometer. Something I introduce a lot, where it's like, okay, examine how your body feels before you were looking at the subject. Now, yeah, maybe you're still in debt, right? But where are you at energetically? Because as that stuff is shifting, it does, I mean, it's not like a trick where you're just trying to trick your body to feel good while things are bad. It actually has benefits and can begin the pathway of finding other solutions to things. And even if there is no solution immediately or ever, if you're, maybe it's a situation like you lost your arm or something, your arm's not necessarily going to grow back. That doesn't mean you have to suffer in the same way. You can live a happy, full, fulfilled. There's people with like no legs that have accomplished way more than I ever will, right? And are way happier. So these are good examples to reference in your life sometimes too. That yes, even if the circumstance didn't change while I was working on this subject, or the one we hear a lot, I've been working on this for X number of years and it's still not gone. It's a much better assessment, I think. So Penny, you should be unmuted, or able to unmute at least.
Hi, GP. Hi, Evans. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfectly.
Thank you. First of all, to relay that about the tapping, because I tap a lot with yourself, Evans, and also with Sifu GP. And a lot of the tapping doesn't really give you instant result right away. And it's more of a subtle that you will felt it a little bit later. Just now, the two tapping that you had from Sifu and also Evans, I keep on yawning. and it's I noticed that the yawning is the release of my energy. Like it shifted my energy flow as well. And also, I'm going to retake this course, and taking this course last year changed and shifted my world. So thank you, Sifu and Evan, flow into my life, because life is a flow.
Thank you, Penny.
I like to, cover the topic of danger and guilt, because they work side by side for me, for my work. So, I'm attending this during my work time, and I got approved from my boss, who say no issue. But however, the danger comes up, and saying that, oh, I might lost my job, and the guilt comes in too. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be attending this, let's say 2 hours, then I feel guilty that I lost 2 hours of my work time. And I even, started at, early this morning to make up for that, which my boss never told me to. So, there is that guilt and danger in me. I'm not sure if anyone, other friends felt it that way. Ever since COVID, I've been, working from home, and I feel guilty of turning off my computer at 3:30 when it's my off time. So that's what I want to explore.
Are you tapping?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I have a problem tapping for myself, and I
Okay.
still have that problem.
Well, are you tapping right now?
Yes.
Okay. As you were telling us, were you tapping?
No.
No. Okay. So just tap. Don't repeat what I say. Just tap. And just let yourself be present with that sense of guilt. It's an old habit.
Right.
And it's been around for a while, and it's cultural too.
Right. Yeah.
You experience this kind of thing when you were young, And you grew up in a very different environment than us white folks are, because you're Asian. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. You talk about
So
the
that,
culture. It's like I cannot relax. You know, I have to do something. I
right.
cannot sit down at all.
Yes. Yeah, it's a culture that's very much based on obligation.
Right.
Right? So you keep tapping, right? We're just going to be with that, right? There's some beautiful aspects of that kind of a cultural aspect, obligation, you know, your cultural duty. Right?
Mhm.
We could use more of that in the West. But it also, on the other side, in like all cultures, they enforce themselves through fear and guilt.
Right.
So you're just giving yourself permission to feel that. It's an energy in your body that is creating thoughts in your mind. I'm tapping too. I'm just doing a different one. I'm doing the side of the fingers this time.
Yeah.
So now tap through the points with me. I totally accept this guilt.
I totally accept this guilt.
Not necessarily that I'm guilty.
Not necessarily feeling guilty.
Matter of fact, I'm not.
As a matter of fact, I'm not.
I have full permission.
I have full permission.
But I accept that this feeling is there.
But I accept this feeling is there.
And it's been around for a while.
And it's been around for a while.
I'm not supposed to get anything special.
I'm not supposed to get anything special.
It's always got to be by the rules.
It's always got to be by the rules.
I totally understand that.
I totally understand that.
Sometimes the rules help us.
Sometimes the rules help us.
Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't.
Totally owning this feeling of guilt.
Totally owning this feel of guilt.
I recognize that it's just trying to protect me.
I recognize that it's trying to protect me.
Protect me from doing something wrong.
Oh, protect me from doing something wrong.
Well, I don't want to do anything wrong.
I don't want to do anything wrong.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
I want to be responsible.
I want to be responsible.
And I would be whether I was guilty or not.
I would be whether I'm guilty or not.
So maybe I don't need this guilt right now.
So maybe I don't need this guilt right now.
Maybe I only need it if I'm really doing something wrong.
Maybe I only need it when I'm doing something wrong.
Then I accept it.
Then I accept it.
Sometimes I do things wrong.
Sometimes I do this wrong.
So I'm going to let myself just feel
I'm going to let myself just feel
my sense of guilt
my sense of guilt
and my sincere desire to be good,
and my sincere desire to be good,
to be true,
to be true,
to myself and everyone else.
to myself and everyone else.
Thank you, body, for taking such good care of me.
Thank you, body, for taking such good care of me.
Even you, guilt, you've helped me be good.
Even you, guilt, help me be good.
So I thank you for what you've done.
I thank you for what you've done.
Maybe we don't have to be so guilty now.
Maybe I don't have to feel so guilty now.
Thank you. I
Thank
love
you.
you.
And I love you.
Okay, take a deep breath. What's happening in your body?
As you were hearing before when I was talking about that, it's like, it's like, oh, that it's like I can't even breathe
Right.
coming up, but it's a strong one.
It is for everyone. And it gets us into the realm of like vows and some really deep stuff, because the whole purpose of guilt was to keep you from doing things you shouldn't do. Now, nobody can argue that it doesn't have value, right?
Right.
I mean, sometimes the feeling, oh God, I wish I hadn't have done that. And it wakes you up, right? The problem, there's a lot of things we're made to feel guilty about that aren't real. They're cultural impositions. They're not an actual fact. They're not really helping you be you. They're helping you be what you're supposed to be. And who you are and what you're supposed to be are always going to be in conflict with themselves.
Right.
So the physical feeling in your body right now, what's happening?
It's lighter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Lighter.
movement in there, but for sure it's lighter.
Yes. Tap with me just for a little bit through the points. I recognize that I've been carrying this a long time.
I recognize it has been carrying a long time in my life.
And it actually was in my parents' life.
And this actually is in my parents' life.
And their parents' life.
In their parents' life.
No wonder I'm feeling this.
No wonder I'm feeling this.
It is not my intention to get rid of it.
It is not my intention to get rid of it.
But to see clearly.
But to see clearly.
What is really me?
What is really me?
And what is just culturally imposed?
And what is culturally imposed?
I'm going to let my nervous system figure that out.
I'll let my nervous system figure that out.
And just let go of everything I don't need anymore.
And just let go of everything that I don't need anymore.
Just completely remove it from the body.
And just completely remove from my body.
And remove it from all of my ancestors' bodies.
And remove it from all my ancestor bodies.
Completely freeing this whole line of existence.
Completely freeing the whole line of existence.
Yeah, existence.
Existence.
As far back as it goes.
As far back as it goes.
Thank you for doing this. I know you can.
Thank you for doing this. I know you can.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.
Take a deep breath. Things like this, we have to find a way to not fight with something like guilt, right? Which doesn't seem to make any sense, right? And nobody wants to feel guilty, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But there's more to it than that. I mean, why do you think that doing something you have permission to do should cause you guilt? You can look at it and go, well, this really doesn't make any sense. So where's it coming from? Right? It's coming from some deep patterns, right? And something like guilt is always culturally imposed. So it's not just you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole dynamic here, right?
There were images of like eyes, like, the eyes looking down at me as it was tapping, like my parents' eyes,
right.
And all that is all appearing.
Right.
And also
right.
eyes of them, their parents, on them too.
Right. Yeah. So if we can see that, and this is kind of an advanced idea, but I'll put it out there anyway, that you don't live in a vacuum. The things you're feeling aren't just you. There's way more to this. As you begin to explore this energy, it'll start with a feeling in your shoulder, right? A little pain or something. And it'll end up being a war in Nicaragua. Because we are all completely intertwined. And we can't not be, and we don't want to be. We love that. We love the idea of having this kind of connection to each other. So what's appearing to you is just not a personal problem, right? It's cultural, it has history, it's ancestral, it's the culture that's going on now, it's the interactions that are going on now. So if you can do that and just stay with the feeling, right? Because fortunately, we don't have to worry about all that other stuff. We just stay with the feeling, and
Mhm.
it will reveal itself. Is that Penny?
Yeah, I see that when you put that into perspective, that there is this totally, like my body is seeing, I don't know how to put it. It's not my problem. It's a world problem.
Good,
That kind of
beautiful.
thing.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, and we can be open to hearing those kinds of things. Like past lives and stuff like that, and other stuff going on.
And I feel lighter. It's like
Yeah,
I'm not owing the whole world problems.
that's right. Yeah, but don't you remember? I officially took you off duty for saving the world.
I know,
It's not
but
your, it's not your job anymore. Yeah.
yes, sir.
You weren't fired. You're retired with honors, but it's not your job anymore.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for releasing me.
You're welcome.
This
Not
is
mine
wonderful.
either, by the way.
That's
It's not
fine.
mine.
There
I
you
don't want that
go.
job. Whew, I don't want that job.
Thank you so much, Chifu. Thank you,
You're
Evan.
welcome, love.
I love you both.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful. Okay, so let me put this up here. Those of you who joined, we have some newer people. GP's upcoming EFT training, where you're going to dive a lot more into this type of stuff, but it doesn't have to be if you want to be a facilitator. It can be, I'd say, a high percentage often are not interested in becoming facilitators, at least professionally. They maybe want to use it with some people in their lives, but it's just an opportunity, I think, to dive in and sort of talk about components of this stuff. At least for me, these are the only contexts where I get into some more of the nuances about, what's actually happening. And one of the things that you might enjoy from these kind of circumstances, because I mean, GP can tell you, I pretty much learned, whatever it is I do is mostly through osmosis, just being around him a lot and doing a lot of things together. But then inside these types of courses, I think is maybe the only time where you're really kind of talking about some of the nuts and bolts of like, okay, well, why did you tap on that? And in the calls I do on these, I enjoy taking those questions, because normally it's not a conversation you're going to have. Like, why did you tap on this? What made you go in that direction? And a lot of times it is like an impulse, but there are certain things you can sort of articulate, and that might be very useful. I mean, it was for me in my own sort of practice. Of course, the most important thing is actually doing it, but it's similar to playing music. You get most of it by hearing and listening and playing along, but then you can get into this like, well, so why did you do that? So, well, because the drummer was rushing. And you're like, oh, okay. These little things kind of click, and I found them. They really, I mean, GP, I don't know what you think about this, but I'd say if you want to get better at working on yourself, just start trying to help other people, even if it's for free, just because you're like,
Yes.
whatever stuff they throw at you, or whatever you feel like off center about, or what you notice, like you're doing that. you're meaning you're gonna get more clued into your own types of resistance, and what human beings do, and where we get stuck, and how you judge yourself facilitating others is going to really closely correlate to how you judge your own progress. If you're like, oh, I didn't get rid of all their issues, it means most likely you're thinking that about, well, I've been tapping, and why do I still have this and that problem? So those are some of my insights about why I recommend doing these types of things. Anything you want else to say about that?
Yeah, I don't push theory. I like it to be discovered experientially, but understanding how and why things work really helps focus the attention, grows the understanding, and actually builds more confidence in it, especially if you do want to work with others. having some vocabulary to explain how it works is also very helpful. It puts people, it can put people at ease. And of course, it's not necessary. Um, there's a lot of great musicians that can't even read music, right?
Right.
They play marvelously. I know for me, I played, you know, all as a kid, and I was good. But when I went to school and actually studied theory and started looking at all the things that I had been doing, it was just like a whole new dimension opened up to me, right? That I could see things. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have started writing music because I didn't see those kinds of connections. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, I'd hear something and I could actually get it down. I could see how the thing worked. So they help each other, right? Um, if you're going to err on the side of experience. The
Right.
theorists don't make nice music. I mean, I went to school with a lot of guys, they had understood everything and really couldn't use it. It's, you know, the real artist emerges, you know, when they've mastered the technique and their artistic sensibilities are matured, right? I mean, if you look at some of Picasso's early work, you look at his later work and say, I could do that. You look at his early work and you see this guy had every skill down, cold. He could do anything, right? And so it was a choice he was making, the way he, you know, went at the Cubist and the Blue Period and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not because he was limited; it's because he wasn't limited at all. um, so that's always the relationship between it, and there's a part of all of us. There's a hunger in all of us that want to understand things, and that's that too is a part of us that, you know, you can't let that get in the way. You can get too much in your head and use that as a way of avoiding your feelings. But if you can bring the heart and the head into harmony and into flow, it's magic.
Absolutely. So that link is there on the screen. You can do it soon because the process is you book a call with GP. Just it's not an aggressive interview. I'm assuming it's just to get a sense of where you're at, and
Yeah, it's like,
you won't be
what
quizzed.
do you mean you're not going to do it? Come on, what's their card number?
Yeah, I've never known GP to be a hard sales pitch kind of guy.
I don't even ask that there. I just give you the link if you want to do it. So it really is about you getting to know me. Some of you may have never had a personal experience with me. And also, especially if it's people I don't know, because it is a more advanced class, I just want to know you.
Awesome. So are you up for one more hand?
Um,
Or do you have to
I'm
run?
going to have to go. You take
I'll
one
take
more
it.
hand.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's your turn anyway.
All right. Sounds good. And if you only wanted to work with GP, you can put your hand down. I will not be offended in the least. So I'll just give you a moment to do that.
But I would recommend you don't. If you actually work with Evan, he just has a different way of doing it, but as you've all seen, it's just as good.
Well, I don't know if it's just as good, but I appreciate it.
He's got it down. He's got it down. Yeah. So thank you all. I got to run.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
See you all soon. Bye, buddy.
We'll see you soon. Okay, Mary, it looks like your hand is still up, so I will bring you up if you are able to unmute yourself.
Hi, Evan.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks.
I got on late, and I don't know what I missed for the first half hour, but I think where I came in when Roberto had his turn, and then Penny, I could actually integrate both of their situations into something that I'm experiencing.
Nice.
And it relates a lot to the last class that GP had on the 10 days of tapping. That was really phenomenal. And I agree with Penny that it's very subtle. It works like it was yesterday, which was Sunday. I was talking to my friend Barbara because I was so excited. I'm definitely taking his class. And
oh, good.
I started talking about how I'm looking forward to it and how he works with all the ways that you can really try to sabotage yourself out of things and get into the nooks and the crannies of things. And so I happened to bring up to my friend Barbara, I said, you know, I came to a conclusion or an understanding of, like, I have tension like Roberto. I have tension in my neck, and I've had it, God, since this COVID thing started. And I'm thinking, is it because of COVID or what is this? It's like the tension. Sometimes it gets so tight that my neck is so tight, I can't even remember things until it calms down. So I was talking to my friend Barbara, and I said to her, perhaps there's a part of me that doesn't want to heal or to get rid of this. And I hung up with her, and I'll be darned, the answer came. The answer came, and I called her back. I said, oh my God, I just got this epiphany about what it is. I said, because of my religious upbringing, and I know GP knows this because I'm taking his Christian mystic course as well, that I was raised thinking that I should be something other than who I am. And for me to heal or to be whole or to be free of all this tension and everything, what would happen is if I were to relax, let go, and give it up, that I would have to be this other person that the church taught me I was supposed to be versus who I really am.
Right.
I think I'm making sense, right?
Absolutely.
So therefore I have this resistance to healing because I'm afraid I'm going to have to not be me anymore and be this other thing. And there's that part of me that really doesn't want to let go because it's afraid I can't be myself.
Brilliant.
Myself isn't good enough. And I've come to that conclusion. And I know that's why I tense more when I try to do work, because I feel like, oh, she's going to let go and be this. She's going to have to face that. And it's like, oh, that's why it gets tenser.
Really good self work there, for sure, to be able to kind of inquire down that road and reach that conclusion. So if you want, what I often find very useful with that type of situation is just go ahead and be tapping and just kind of going right into the points here, zeroing in first on that part of you, that feeling, and let me know if you can describe it at all, because obviously it's manifesting as tension in your neck, right? Like there's that part of it. But
there's fear and contraction.
Right.
Much contraction.
Yeah. And if you can elaborate on the question, if we let go of this, I'm going to...
If I let go of this, I'm going to become a robot, or I will probably die. I may be punished. I may be taken over. I may be unhappy. I might be miserable.
Okay, so it's throwing everything from death to things that are more minor. So the essence of it is something bad is going to happen.
Yes.
And so we'll do a little bit of tapping here now. Something bad is going to happen.
Something bad is going to happen.
If I let go of this tension.
If I let go of this tension.
It could be death.
It could be death.
It could be being a robot.
It could be being a robot.
So it could be anything from an inconvenience.
It could be anything from an inconvenience.
To a catastrophe.
To a catastrophe.
And I wonder if I have any past evidence.
And I wonder if I have any past evidence.
Whether I consciously remember it or not.
Whether I consciously remember it or not.
Of something really bad happening.
Of something really bad happening.
When I was allowed to be more free.
When I was allowed to be more free.
And just take a breath and see what if anything comes up.
Yes, something did come up.
Okay. And it's up to you if you share it or not. You can just say you got it.
I got it.
Okay. So let's go to the side of the hand here. Even though this happened to me.
Even though this happened to me.
And we have to stay tense.
And we have to stay tense.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though this happened.
Even though this happened.
And we have to make absolutely sure.
And we have to make absolutely sure.
That this never happens again.
that this never happens again.
So we will stay tense
So we will stay tense
to make sure it doesn't happen.
to make sure it doesn't happen.
And I choose to love and forgive myself anyway.
And I choose to love and forgive myself anyway.
Even though this happened.
Even though this happened.
And I'm holding all this tension to protect myself.
And I'm holding all this tension to protect myself.
And there's been a lot of energy.
And there's been a lot of energy
invested in trying to get rid of this tension.
Invested in trying to get rid of this tension.
But I see now that we can't let that happen.
But I see now that we can't let this happen.
There's still a part of me that wants to be free.
There's still a part of me that absolutely wants to be free.
And parts of me do not want to keep this tension.
Then there's parts of me that do not want to keep this tension.
So even though I'm stuck in this dynamic, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself.
Love, honor, and accept myself.
And this tension that's protecting me. Okay, through the points here. All this tension.
All this tension.
All this tension in my neck.
All this tension in my neck.
And anywhere else I feel it in my body.
And anywhere else I feel it in my body.
I know now that it's not just tension.
I know now that it's not just tension.
This goes beyond what some stretches can handle.
This goes beyond what some stretches can handle.
And I've invested a lot of energy.
And I've invested a lot of energy.
In trying to repair this.
In trying to repair this.
But as I look more closely at it.
As I look more closely at it.
I see that the consequence of releasing this. Far outweighs the pain of tension.
Far outweighs the pain of the tension.
And while my mind wasn't sure what would happen.
While my mind was not sure what would happen.
It was throwing all these different thoughts. Something really did happen. So anyone that says, oh, those are just thoughts. They didn't live through that.
They did not live through that.
Or die from that.
Or did not die from that.
So this is no joke.
And
so I'm going to respect it. Of course it makes sense. That my body and my system. Is going to do everything it needs to do. To keep that from happening again. And I'm not against that. What I am curious about. Is there a way to be protected?
Is there a way to be protected?
Without so much tension. Could it be that part of the intensity? Was trying to get my attention. Saying, hey, remember what happened? Stop trying to get rid of me. We can't risk this happening again. But I see that now. And I respect that now. So we're on the same page. Let's not let this happen again. Or at least do everything we can to minimize it. But you do have my full permission now. To find other ways to do it. And you don't have to cause me pain anymore. For me to get the message. If you feel that's the best way, then go ahead.
If you feel that that's the best way, then go ahead.
But we're going to work together on this one.
And then we're going to work together on this one.
So I'm letting go of all that agenda
So I'm letting go of all that agenda
to just get rid of this tension
to just get rid of this tension
without understanding what it's for
without understanding what it's for
and working towards the better solution.
and working towards the better solution.
Can I be safe
Can I be safe
without the tension?
without the tension?
And maybe the best way to approach that
And maybe the best way to approach that
is to just do it in very small pieces.
is just to do it in very small pieces.
Maybe a little bit less tension,
Maybe a little bit less tension,
which can come right back if it wants.
which can come back right once,
But maybe just enough to see,
but maybe just enough to see.
hey, we let go a little bit,
Hey, we let go a little bit,
and then that didn't happen again.
and it didn't happen again.
Okay, we can keep our antennas up.
Okay, we can keep our antennas up.
Maybe find a new baseline of safety.
Maybe find a new baseline of safety.
So anywhere we can be safe,
So anywhere we can be safe
but still feel less tension.
and still feel less tension.
Maybe even be more safe.
Maybe be even more safe.
There may be even better solutions on both sides.
And maybe even better solutions on both sides.
So just opening up to all of that.
So opening up to all of that.
And letting an intelligence inside me
And letting the intelligence inside of me
do what it does best.
do what it does best.
Because it knows how to beat my heart.
Because it knows how to beat my heart.
It knew how to grow my teeth and bones.
It knew how to grow my teeth and bones.
Good thing I wasn't in charge of that.
Good thing I wasn't in charge of that.
So I'm handing it over to the best person for the job.
So I'm handing it over to the best person for the job.
And willing to give it whatever it needs from me.
I'm willing to give it whatever it needs from me.
All right, take a deep breath. And just let me know how you're feeling.
I'm feeling much more relaxed about having this, much more open to seeing what's going to come of this.
Beautiful.
A lot of the neck tension is subsided for now.
Wow.
So I'm grateful for that, because you were hitting right on all the notes. I call them the notes to the story, to the whole system.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great, my pleasure. Yeah, just keep letting that unfold, and if you have any. You said did you say you were taking the course at the beginning?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
Did call him, and I'm supposed to have my call with him on Wednesday, but I'm definitely wanting to take this course. It's just so
Awesome.
beautiful.
Yeah, so I'll see you. I do, like I said at the beginning, I do a couple calls inside that too. So we'll be able to dive a lot more into that stuff during then as well.
Oh, good, Evan. Good.
Great. Thanks for raising your hand.
Oh, I'm glad I caught this. I had to get on late, but I didn't want to miss this. So thank you.
Great. I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you, honey.
Okay, thanks everyone. Yeah, we went a little over, but who cares? It was good stuff. So thanks GP for being there for a good 90 minutes or so. And like I said, I'll put that link on the screen. And like I said, I'm not. This is not a program that I'm co-teaching or business-wise involved in any way. It's just I enjoy the work. Obviously, a lot of what I learned came from osmosis with GP and doing a lot of work together with him. So when he does these classes, I love talking shop, and so I always do a couple calls inside the group. And whereas today we were kind of just doing the tapping inside the course. Some of it may be mostly just facilitating, but in that context, there's the opportunity to ask questions if you want to kind of break down, okay, what made you do that, or talk about your own facilitating or working with other people. Or like I said, though, even if you have no intention of actually doing calls like this or doing this professionally or anything of that sort, if you find the work really interesting and you want to go deeper with yourself, there's an adage, I forget the exact wording, but if you want to do something better, teach it. So I find that works a lot too for sort of teaching level courses, where I've sort of taken things and other subjects where I know I'm probably never going to actually be a teacher in it, but that's a very useful mindset. Like, okay, if I had to actually present this, I found that a really good way of approaching learning things. It's not my idea, obviously. I think it might even be that 7 Habits. I was listening to that recently, and I think it might have come from this idea of approach whatever you're doing as though you had to teach it. It's a very good adage, so you might enjoy this program on that level. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for your nice comments here in the chat. I am seeing all of them. Yeah, like I said, there's GP, I believe, still does his sat songs. So if you posted a question today that was kind of about that stuff, it wasn't really space for that today. We're just tapping with other people and focused on that. But if you didn't get a question answered, just send it over to GP's sat songs that he does on YouTube, and he can talk about all the other aspects of what he does. And thanks again. See you in the Facebook group or in the course or something else. I will disconnect. I'll leave this screen up for a bit in case anyone wants to do the link. See you all. Take care.